Ladies and gentlemen, our next panel discussion's topic is Banks for the Future, crafting the technology blueprint for 2030. I will request our panel members to join us on stage, beginning with Mr. Jasdeep Singh Kaler, Head of Innovation and Development, COE of Yes Bank, Mr. Rajesh Choudhary, Chief Information Officer, CSB Bank Limited, Mr. Jagdish Narayanan, Senior BFSI Sector Expert, Mr. Harvindhar Singh, CTO Capital Small Finance Bank, Mr. Rajat Mehta, Country Manager India and South Asia Backbase, and this session will be moderated by Mr. Vikrant Kulkarni, Principal Consultant from the Digital Fifth. Can we have a round of applause for the panel, everyone? Thank you.
Hello everyone and good evening. So it's a last panel, but it's a power pack panel, I would say, because considering the topic what we have today is the banks are crafting how they are crafting the technology for the future. And if you see the future, it's very promising, first of all. And the way technology is building the banks, I mean, if I want to say in that perspective, the way technology is helping to build the bank is phenomenal. I mean, be it from the payments perspective, be it from the loans perspective, or be it from the any other product you can take, or be it the partnerships. Everything is something getting changed, right? And it is tech driven now. I mean, that this must be your experience also. That now business teams are also talking about the APIs. I mean, they understand when you say that it needs to have happen on some service level, then they do understand कि हाँ API है, yes, it is required. It's a requirement of the hour. So that way, technology is leading a lot of things today, and it is helping to basically enable many of the services, right? And I mean, if I want to talk about the new products which are getting in, just remove the technology from that, you will be see the lag, or you will see the missing piece, which is very long back way to the perfection what we have today, or the ease of the use what we have today. So from that perspective, would like to learn from the panelists today. And I mean, we have got all the experts here, so would be keen to learn from them. Starting with maybe Jasdeep, would like to understand from you, like, how do you see these innovations are coming up into the banking environment, and how are they going to enable, and how you see this the vision is going to be?
Sure. Thanks. So anyway, you've spoken about API. So let me start from there, because
Yeah.
see, as I see next couple of years, we have seen how banking services and products consumption has been evolving. Right now, there were very concrete systems, no talking to each other, and over time we have seen how other systems have been talking. Now, my belief is over time the consumption of these banking products and services will become much more widespread. Consumption would be from other apps. So the whole API game, I think, is very crucial. Now today we are talking about maybe thousands APIs. Any typical bank would expose. We are talking about now, maybe in future, tens of thousands of APIs. So the whole complexity, I think, is going to change drastically for the betterment of consumption of API products and services. Now that obviously brings if the ecosystem has to work, how the sandboxes should be, how someone should be able to test seamlessly, how API discovery can happen. I think that is one part which is crucial. Second, I see evolution is, I think platform-based approach enterprises will start taking. Now, instead of application-based approach, logically should be a platform-based approach to simplify the application landscape, as well as, to ensure that the silo work is not done. It's more of platform approach, and to still enable various application use cases on top of that. That is second. Third, I see a lot of usage of low-code, no-code platforms. Now, with new generation coming and becoming a new workforce, I think they are much more digitally aware. I think the low-code, no-code platform, I believe in next 5 to 10 years, it will become more of citizen developer. Obviously, from a technology point of view, we have to figure out how do we govern that. But I think I see that hopefully, we'll be able to govern that and make sure that we unleash the power of low-code, no-code platforms to the citizen developer, which at least the basic stuff they should be able to do. Fourth, and not the least, obviously, is I think industrialization of AI, specifically Gen AI. I think in next 5 to 10 years, we'll see much, much more of these coming and really delivering value, I think.
Great. Thank you. Rajesh, I would like to understand from you, like when we are building a digitally enabled bank, what are the things we should be think about? How should we strategize that? So some thoughts would be helpful from your side.
Yeah. So, well, we are rebuilding the bank. So CSB Bank, while it's 100 plus year old, so we are rebuilding it from scratch. And of course, if you have to create something, either greenfield or rebuild, you need to have a very powerful strategy which underpins your objective. And from our bank perspective, we are driving the strategy which is called SBS 2030, so which is sustain, build, and scale by 2030. So whatever we have, we got to ensure that it's running. We have got the universal license governed by RBI. So we need to do the right thing to ensure that all the boxes are ticked from the compliance perspective. And while doing that, build the bank of future. So when I talk about build the bank for future, it has got various dimensions, not just technology. You need to have a very strong board so that the governance and the trust which it inspires with the regulators or with the customers or internally within the bank is pretty strong. And of course, a very strong management team for business, technology, operation, control function, support function. So that's what we did. And then, of course, all the respective pieces come into picture. So you need to have the right distribution strategy. So CSB Bank is, for the historical reason, has been known as the Kerala or the South Bank. So we are changing that, and we are becoming the national bank with the huge expansion happening in West and North. And of course, rebuilding the entire technology stack. So we are building the new core banking system, new payment system, channel systems, all the various support function, HR, risk, finance, etc. And we are kind of, we call ourselves lucky because we are late entrant, or we are rebuilding it. We have got quite a lot of information about the other banks where what didn't go well and what went well for them. So we are able to make lots of good decision basis that knowledge, and we are using that to our advantage. While we are doing that, of course, we are into services business, so people are extremely important. So while we are building systems or the processes for our customers, we are also ensuring that our employees are happy. So when we are looking at the automation, we are looking at any new technology. So we are ensuring that the life of the employee also becomes much better. So whatever they want to do, one app or one portal where their entire life from the joining of the bank till the exit from the bank is sorted. So which kind of gives them a great experience. Because all said and done, we are dealing with the people, be it the customer or the employees inside. And of course, technology, when you talk about, I think the beauty is doing in simple things rather than complex pieces. So if you want customer to transact on my bank using any of my channels, be it mobile or my website or internet, how can I ensure that it is very easy? 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. That's what we ask our journey guys all the time, that if it is taking more than 2 steps for doing a transaction, there is something wrong. So we are in the design phase at this point of time, and that's what we discuss all the time, that how can we make it extremely easier, 2 step or 3 step, it's done. And of course, we are, whatever CUG launch we have done for some of the products, those have given us very, very positive feedback. So I think it's complete. So board, Senior leadership, right product strategy, uh, right technology stack, your people, and of course, keep it simple. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Jagdish, if I would like to understand from your perspective and uh, being so veteran into the industry and as well as closely working with the fintechs. So, how do you see their involvement into building this vision and the future for the country?
Thanks for having me on this panel. It's great to be here. So, I think in the current digital age, the most important thing that has happened is what we call democratization of financial services. So it's no longer the prerogative of a few select players or the banks themselves to sort of manage or to run all the platforms, their tech platforms, their operations, and everything else. And that's where fintechs have come in, obviously enabled in a big way by things like the India stack and things like that. Take an example. Today you have fintechs that can do KYC for you. You have fintechs who will take care of your UI UX. Fintechs will take care of your data analytics and processing. The biggest thing, of course, is your UPI payment service providers, your PSPs, right? It has completely democratized. UPI has come into existence practically through fintechs. So the whole concept of having fintechs and of course online digital commerce through payment gateways and things like that, right? So the partnership, the collaboration that happens and that will just grow and that needs to grow between fintechs and the traditional financial services players, banks, lending organizations, etc., is completely getting blurred, and that's probably the right thing to happen. That's the way in which the new ideas can flow in, newer and better ways of building and implementing customer experiences, better performing solutions, better performing platforms, secure platforms, compliance, fraud prevention, etc., can all come good when this partnership of fintechs and the traditional players deepens as it is already doing so. So that's here to stay, and that's the right thing to happen.
Excellent, truly. I mean, just going forward with that, Harvindhar ji, being in the bank for longer period, working with the multiple systems. I mean, the other way we were discussing that your experiences from the decentralization to centralization, and again the talks about the decentralization, right? So looking at that span of the area, how do you see these digital transformations are being adopted in the banks, considering the specific customer segments or the target segments which are been explored so far?
Hello, everyone. As my friends mentioned about the current era where digital adoption is having a increasing exponential growth. If we see at the ground level, people who are onto the customer transaction through digital channels may not be that tech savvy, but still they are adopting, and this growth rate is very high. So definitely this is a potential kind of state wherein this can be leveraged to increase the customer connect in terms of the existing relationships, and definitely to target the customer segments to increase our business services offering. How can we do that? We at Capital Bank are working with a vision to have customer or customer segment specific service offerings. We are not deploying kind of, we are not filling up the offerings without any target segment. So for this, we have to first understand our customer segment, which is we already have on board. So with the help of digital adoption, we got a chance to understand customer from the digital footprint. If we talk about earlier days, while TBS solutions were there, and the customer and related information was not that much in digital form, it was very tough to understand any individual or any institution to know about related activities. So with increased digital adoption, be it payment section, be it other social activities, so we can correlate the data, we can understand the customer, and rather the era we are heading towards is going to be with the customers who will be probably less expressive. So banks have to be kind of capable of predicting the needs of the customer based on the information which we have collected, maybe through multi record systems. And second, definitely it is not that simple. We have to take care of other allied factors such as correlating the data and integrity of the information, harmonization of the data, and proper identification of that digital information. We should know which type of customers we are having and which type of activities this customer is performing, so that we can build up the additional service offerings to cover the segment which is not onto our service table as of now. So digital adoption is now kind of going on in autonomous mode. There are certain parts where technology is taking up gradually. At the ground level, the people have started using digital forms of payments at granular level. So only thing, we have to be kind of ahead of the needs of the customers. We have to be predictive. We have to be analytical in terms of consuming the data already within us, or maybe from some aggregator kind of or additional information providing platforms. So I think with this we can guess the future needs, and we can be prepared proactively with the offerings for the customers.
Sure, sir. Thanks. You rightly said, connecting the right customer segment, giving him the services what he requires, will definitely enable the users, right? But maybe Rajat would need your help here, right? From getting the customer and keeping him onto the platform and making the customer engaged to the platform, and being part of the one of the customer engagement platform builder, would like to understand from you how it is going to shape up in the future.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So Backbase is a specialist in providing engagement banking platform, and by engagement banking, we mean is a platform which essentially orchestrates the customer and the employee engagements across all the touch points to provide a superlative customer and the employee experience, right? Coming on to the challenges or the problems what we need to solve. So if you see all banks of all shapes and size, whether large bank, mid-tier, small-tier banks, right, have increasing number of digital offerings which have come in the market. And that cuts across the entire line of business, whether it's retail, MSME, corporates, right? Now, because of this incremental or increasing number of digital offerings, that has posed a lot of challenges, especially in creating many silos. And these silos actually put up a lot of challenges, especially to the business stakeholder and the tech stakeholder. On the business side, it basically essentially, it doesn't allow them to get a single view of the customer, that how is interacting across the channels, right? The second is, there is a lack of cross-channel context. For the tech users, especially when they're managing a show of this nature where there are multiple silos, it adds to a massive overheads in terms of the maintaining and running the show. And that's a big thing. So what we are trying to say is that there is a dire need of a unification of the engagement of the platforms across all the channels. But not only restricted to that, if we can have the same platform to manage the entire customer life cycle, which includes right from the onboarding, lending, servicing, digital assist journeys, and loyalty, rendered by the same platform, then it really solves a lot of problem. The second thing, if I would say, is that especially if we see the banks, because of this increasing number of channels and because of the lack of cross-channel context, there are certain like thing which they will look forward to in terms of having the system. One of the things is in terms of the business stakeholder would want a system which basically can give them a quick time to market, which can have a faster adoption, and which can also at the same time give them a quick win. On the tech side, they will want freedom, flexibility, and the control, right? Now, usually if you see in the market, you have a either or kind of solution. You can have a great solution, point solution framework, which just puts up, gives you a good, like quick win over there. But at the same time, it won't give you control, flexibility, and the freedom which is wants on the tech side. On the other side, while you can have a very point solution to give you control, flexibility, but in terms of seeing the outcome, it can take 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and it's not acceptable on the business side. So what we are trying to solve over here is that if we can have a very innovative operating model, which will deliver a business results, but with the IT-led operating model, is what something we are looking for, and that's what we are trying to solve for on the operating model, and that's something is what we are trying to and focusing very, very aggressively on that. Right.
Thanks, Rajat. Coming back to you, Jasdeep ji. Being a leader of a mature bank from the technology perspective, and as we are talking on the API side, being one of the prominent in that space as well. So, how do you see these changes are catching up from the customer segment of US perspective, or from the bank which is on this level? Then, what next is something which you are thinking about?
So I think, the maturity of, obviously we are one of the bank, but, I'm generally talking from the maturity perspective. I think there's a responsibility of all mature organizations to make sure that the learnings are replicated across, right? As in a previous panel, we were talking about, bringing agility with security and being compliant. I think one of those areas which can be learned by other banking ecosystem. I think the fintechs and other newer organizations which are coming, I think that is what they can learn from banks. Second is, I think, leading or mature banks in an area, they can join together and create standardization where still standardization is not there. Because, some of those areas, either, for example, Europe has some standardization in a couple of areas. Now, I think we are still dependent on the regulators for standardization. But I think wherever it is possible to come together and make a consortium, I think that is area where wherever there is need is. Okay, that is one. I think another area is where a mature organization can lead the way is wherever there is a potential with experimenting with the emerging technologies and see, what use case and what technology delivers business value faster. Rather than everyone experimenting, I think that is one learning. Another thing which can be shared across and others can learn. And so that at least the overall cycle to deliver value from the technology is much, much lesser. Not everyone needs to go through the same path.
Yeah. Got it. Rajesh ji, maybe from your global experience perspective, how do you see sorry. So how do you see this diverse customer segments are been addressed with the help of technologies, and they are being enabled on the banking platforms?
Well, before joining CSB Bank, I was living in Europe and worked with various banks over there in the Nordic region, Central Europe, Southern Europe. And at that point of time, this conversation was very hot. Digital-only bank, yeah? And I kind of went through experience myself about 8-10 years back when I reached there. Interestingly, my bank account was a problem because of additional checks from the local bank. For 4 months, I didn't have a bank account, yeah, in so-called developed Europe. and I was living on the Forex card. And of course, you can't keep on doing that forever. So I started looking for a digital bank which can give me an account quickly so that I can start getting credit of my salary. And came across a bank from Europe called Revolut. It's very popular name. Some of you might have heard it, Revolut. And just downloaded the app, KYC, used my passport, account is ready. Very happy. And gave my heartfelt to the local bank that see what is this experience, and I was very happy. Got the account detail and shared the account detail with my payroll. And next month, I got the credit of my money into the Revolut account. Everything is great. When I looked at the money in my account, 5 months salary, which was a decent number, I got scared. I said, if something happens, if this number disappears, where will I go? Whom will I call? Where is this bank? Yeah? And the moment of truth was, that's when I realized that, and that's personally me, I'm not saying everybody is like that, and I realized that I'll use digital bank for the routine daily transaction, but if I've got large sum of money, I'm not going to keep it there because I can't see it. Because trust is very important factor when money comes into picture, and seeing is believing. So if you see a branch, my money is there. So that building demonstrate huge amount of trust when you're dealing with the money. So I strongly believe that if you're a full service bank, you should have, and that's what I see happening, a physical strategy as well as a digital strategy. Just today morning I was reading the article, JP Morgan, one of the largest financial institution in US, they are going back to the branch strategy. They are going to open branches in lock, stock and barrel. Because what they have realized over the number of years, the amount of transaction volume what they anticipated from the digital channel, it didn't happen. And the amount of volume what they are getting from the physical branches, that's beyond their expectation. So they are going back to the branch strategy. Now that means you have got customer base, which is like young guys, 25-year-old, in their initial 3-4 years of cycle, they would love to spend money. Good solution, digital solution, yeah, go party, go spend money on the bike and do these things. But as you mature, there are various products from the banking perspective, all of those come into picture. Those customers may like to go and deal with a human to understand the product and do that conversation. And as you grow older, you definitely want to talk to a human. Yeah, and that's what you see when you do banking in, for example, a defense colony in Delhi, for case in point. Lots of rich guys, big bungalows, all are old people. They don't want to deal with digital banking. They want to see a relationship guy and talk to that guy that this is my money, how will you deal with it and how will you give me the return? So depending upon different spectrum of customers, what you have, you need to have a different solution. Some will be technology based, some will be physical based, and of course you got to have solution available for all of them. So that means more work. So I need to have all my products and services on my website, on my mobile banking, on my net banking, and of course in the branches also. So that's what I believe is that you will need to address all the segment of customers. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at certain point of time, as you are saying that human touch is definitely required, and that would be going along with.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there was a term which came popular, right? Physical plus digital.
Phygital, yeah.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
something which we are looking out for. Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure. So. Jagdish, I would like to understand from you, from the perspective like business and technology both are running in parallel, right? So how do you see both are supporting each other for the growth? I mean, being in the industry and looking at from the different perspectives, Would like to understand from you.
So the lines between business, pure play business and pure play technology is increasingly getting blurred if it's not completely blurred. I mean, it is impossible for a person to draw up the blueprint of a business product today without understanding the underlying technology flow beneath it. Because they're kind of tightly tied in. I mean, look at UPI. How can UPI function as a real-time payment system with all the fraud prevention and everything across all the entire ecosystem in real time if it isn't backed by technology? So if you have a business product manager who's the UPI product manager for that product, how can he or she draw up a product plan without understanding the technology for it? And vice versa, fintechs are the right example to talk about how technology also needs to be very, very closely sort of aware of the kind of business processes that are involved in whatever they're building, and hence build it in accordance with that. Case in point is your classical fraud prevention systems, right? Today, for real-time payments, digital payments are the greatest thing in this world. But please note that they have to be backed by very, very strong fraud prevention systems. Like the saying goes, in the old days, if there was a bank robbery in the old-fashioned way, the only silver lining that was there was possibly the people, the robbers are somewhere close by, and probably they could be nabbed and something could be recovered. But today, if the money is taken away digitally, it just vaporizes, just disappears. So the only way that it can be prevented is if such potentially fraudulent transactions are stopped before they happen. So someone that designs the technology architecture of these payment products or these transaction flows and things like that would have to understand the underlying business of those products. So it is completely sort of, I mean, the lines between business and technology are very, very much blurred in the current context. Customers are also digitally aware, okay, to varying extents, of course. And hence, today the key thing is to ensure that when a product is being conceptualized, designed, and planned for, all the stakeholders involved, or the business stakeholders, the tech stakeholders, the operations, and everybody are part of that process of planning the product and its life cycle. Otherwise, the product is really not going to be really going to get off ground at all. That's really how it is today.
Definitely. Definitely. So, Harvindhar ji, from your perspective, I mean, looking at the various bank and fintech relationships which are happening today, so how do you see the stack is getting built for the banks which are into the specific segment, and also looking out to partner with multiple, you can say, fintech partners as to building the embedded finance product. So, how do you see this technology stack is getting evolved out there?
Definitely, over a period of time, this partnership has matured, and it is kind of win-win for both of the segments, be it bank or be it fintech. I remember initially there was a kind of feeling when fintechs started taking over into this financial world. So it was kind of rivalry, or kind of maybe I personally feel maybe a bit insecurity kind of in the banking space. But when we see from the other side, where collaborative approach has paid to both sides, means both sides may run their expertise in a more collaborative way, wherein it form a supplementary kind of combination to serve the customer. The important question here is for which we are working as a partnered institutions is the customer. So both sides have played a good role and evolving day by day, and it can go more into the coming time. Only a few things which I see are important, that banks and fintechs should have a partnership which is kind of collaborative, with a constructive, coordinated, and kind of a cordial execution of the BRD, or you can say requirement which we are running for. Second, since both have their different strength areas, so the banks will definitely get the customer service area expansion with a tech capability to serve that expanded service area, definitely. So this is growing, what I feel, and it has a lot to go ahead, and it is going to improve. But the only thing, both parties should keep the customer in front while thinking all the collaboration, since the business needs should be achieved in a manner that customer should not feel that there are two different entities are working behind this. So it should be a teamwork which has a 360-degree common view while serving any business requirement. So this is what I feel. Thank you.
Yeah, and definitely. Maybe Rajat, from the time constraint perspective, we had talked about, I mean, you mentioned about the customer engagement platform, right? But many of the banks will be having similar platforms. So how do you see that is being utilized? So is it like, will it be a totally new thing which they'll have to introduce, or how do they deal with it? And maybe to add more flavor on top of that would be like how the business and technology you see are getting together. I mean, just as Jagdish ji also was mentioning, it is a need of an hour to get both merged. So how that is getting solved in your perspective?
Okay, so in case if the banks have already invested in their channels and the other solutions, it's not something that they just have to dump it and start afresh, right? In fact, let me just talk about the way we evolved. 10 years back when we started, when we designed this thing, it was essentially on the experience front, right? It was only an experience layer. Then we realized that if it's only experience layer, maybe I think we may not be able to have a strategic partnership or maybe have that kind of engagement with the customers where they need a firepower of co-creating or something coming up out of the system. And that's where we went back to the drawing board. We completely re-architected our the setup, the platform, and the platform we made complete into a headless with all services, microservices, APIs, all rich, so that you have an engine room kind of platform, okay, on which the customers can or the banks can create a lot of journeys over there. So one way to look at is in terms of your existing investment across the channel. All we are saying is either you can put it on the platform, otherwise you can do a white space assessment and identify areas like banking as a service, embedded finance, put this on the system over here, use that, and then incrementally or progressively put your channels at the end of the day over here. Now with this, I think this gives a lot of elegance and ease in which the banks can function, right? Also, we have seen is that, for instance, within Backbase, what we do, we identify close to 16 landing zones, what we call it in our parlance, where the banks can start the engagement using a platform play. Okay, that's 16 engagement, and that cuts across all lines of businesses. So you can start anywhere and then incrementally grow, right? So it's not like a rip and replace. The second is in terms of, to your question, Vikrant, is in terms of how you tend to implement, or maybe in terms of what you want to take up. Now, let's say in a region, especially in India, if you see, or maybe that's more like a regional context, everybody wants to build, right? It's become like very keen to build. Now, building is not bad, okay? What we are saying is that, okay, you build for something which you can give you a differentiation, but something which is industrialized, okay, which is more like an hygiene, you just adopt from the platform. Now, that gives you, adoption will give you an acceleration, and you build only for differentiation, right? Let me take an example, one of the leading banks in Vietnam, very advanced digital bank, is a Techcom bank, right? In fact, when they selected us, they selected us only because of architecture, not because of user journeys, not because of the front end and what jazzy it looks like. It's only the architecture. And the idea for them was that if we have the whole industrialized engine, which we can adopt, use it, and then you can build a differentiation on top of that so that they stand out completely on that. And today, as we speak, their retail banking application has an app Play Store rating of 4.8, and the corporate banking application of 4.9. So essentially, what they did is they just adopted and then they built. Take an example. So just to the audience, it's not something that we can do this and this. I'm just giving you a live example, which will be a live use case, which was of relevance. Let's take an example. Let's say if you want to build an identity and access management or an entitlement engine, the same bank, they thought that it would take maybe for them 3 squads for 8 months to build that, right? Now, in case if they can adopt, which is more like industrialize and hygiene from the platform, that they get them within flat 2 weeks, right? And then they can utilize this 8 months or 3 squads of build differentiation. So that's where the whole the narrative changed. Similarly, we are talking to banks, maybe in India, who are trying to institutionalize the whole APIs, right? And just what Jasdeep mentioned on the platform play is what something again adds and amplifies that concept is the fact that once you have these institutionalized APIs, you can just create a lot of magic over there in terms of what comes in the outcome, right? So essentially, the platform, what we are saying is adopt what is industrialized, which is hygiene, but build only for differentiation. And that will give you a lot of acceleration in your whole journey, right?
Yeah, that helps. That helps. So, looking at the what you can say, the future which is coming in from the technology perspective, what I also feel is like we have a lot of things to do, and we definitely have many of the initiatives which will be taken up and which will simplify overall experience for the customers as well as the partners as well as the banks and I mean all the financial institutions as well. So we here open up the panel for the audience. So if there are any 1-2 questions, we can pick it up if time permits. If there are any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be a very quick questions, okay? You talk about the corporate model. So normally what we are finding out in India, the banks which are the larger one, I'm talking about like the incumbents who has been in the business for many years, they are building their own models, okay? DG banks. Let's talk about neo banks who are tying up with the other banks to provide a very basic services. Many neo banks has already been established in India now. Now what next? Because neobanks are only providing the very basic services. Okay? You have incumbents who are providing all services to the DG channels. That too only maybe in tier 2 cities, maybe not in even tier 3 cities. Government is doing their job with Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Again, a very, very basic services. Now when I'm talking about a financial inclusion, it is beyond providing them a deposit in a saving account. It is bringing them to the insurance. It is bringing them for investment. So from where the next wave will come on? Apart from these simple products which I'm providing them. Because this is how my capital formation will come. You look at insurance penetration, single digit. Mutual fund penetration, single digits. हो गया, saving account हो गया, loan हो गया. What more? So what roles a bank or a fintech will play to bring all that 80% who are not utilizing my investment products? Thanks, Vikrant.
Maybe I'll give it a shot and then others can join in. I think my take on this is if we go back a little bit, let's say 10 years, 15 years time, and the customers were kind of owned by the respective banks. Yeah, I'm SBI customer, I'm this customer, that customer. When we started looking at, when we started asking ourselves that if we have to grow the bank, we'll have to acquire customers and quite a lot of customers. How do we acquire customers? Yeah, and of course, we'll go organic, open branches, old school, of course, all of that will be there. But the other thing is the partnerships. We strongly believe that customers are ready to move around if they see any differentiation in the services. And the specific example what you gave, like, okay, they are able to give you account and they're, let's say, able to give you credit card or some of the other products. But if you look at the entire banking product portfolio, it's quite exhaustive. We are working with some of the fintech players and the neobanks for some of the services, but you don't have players who are even today able to address my various other portfolios or the products. There are no players. So I think many of these guys, fintech guys, neobanks, they'll have to rethink and maybe add products. That's what I'll see as one of the dimension. And I think the space itself is evolving. Regulators are also thinking that what is art of possible. Investors are also thinking, and the institutions themselves are thinking that what more can they do. And I think the answer will evolve. The complete answer is not known. Some answer is known. I think some will come over a period of time. Anybody else?
Yeah, so maybe I'll add 2 cents. So as I was saying earlier, it's question of how those banking services and products are made available wherever customer is. Right? So I think as Rajesh was saying, the models are evolving. I think they'll keep on evolving. New ideas will come, and I think as a banking fraternity, banks are open to make sure those capabilities are available for consumption. Right now, as more and more models evolve, and those banking services and products could be used at various touch points, that's how the ecosystem I think will evolve. So maybe today we are talking about only very very hygiene products. But as he was saying, that so much more is available for customers to get value out of. Question is how these other let us say some fintech creating a new business model and can get that kind of value to customer, because if he's a front ending and customer is coming on that guy's platform and he can work backwards and make some other services available which are not very, very traditional. It is a question of how the overall value is given to customer.
If I may just add to what Jasdeep mentioned, see, if you have a one platform, so it's one of the experiences of what we're talking about, right? Let's say if you have one platform which does the whole onboarding and lending, right? So let's say a customer is coming for, let's say, lending, right? Or maybe for a loan. Okay, the account opening is only one of the procedural things because his major ask is lending, right? And imagine a platform, the moment actually the lending or the loan is given, but on the same platform, instantly you can open the account. So there is no friction across the movement over there, right? So that something creates a lot of harmonization across the chain or the transactions. And also it aids to the governance over there, right? So eventually you have a superlative client experience, and also in terms of intergovernance also is much handled because you only have a one design system. So at the end of the day, whether it's a fintech collaboration, distribution, everything is going to emanate through a same platform, right? And then it's a matter of consumption, that how effectively you consume, how you orchestrate, and then use it for the end customer to consume it, right? So that's the power which comes up. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. My question is on the small finance bank ability to raise the deposits. So there was a comment that you need physical presence, and of course you need the brand and trust to be able to raise the deposits. So how much technology and partnership with the fintechs will allow small finance banks to raise the deposit, and how much they need to expand physically in the urban and the metro areas to raise the deposits? That's the question.
Okay,
that would be a very specific question to answer. Over to you,
Anand. Since it's more onto business. Yeah, I'm getting your point. So I'll try to answer. First of all, we as a small finance bank, we believe onto trustworthy relationship based banking. It's not only neo or kind of fully digital. So our strategy is to expand in the physical presence banking. But definitely the financial world is evolving, digital transformation is taking a pace. So we have to be ready for the segment which is out of this strategic vision. For uh, uh, increasing to the deposits parts, so we have to kind of, again, coming to the earlier point, we have to leverage the information around us, first of all. So we need to collect, integrate, and harmonize the information around the target customer segment first. Then we should have to develop the capabilities to leverage that information in a way wherein we can set some kind of models to, you can say, to convey to the target customer segment. With the increased digital capabilities, definitely we have increased way of reaching to the customers vis-a-vis earlier banking service offerings or the mode of customer reach. So definitely then we have to make the customer awareness onto the next level. Present era, if you see, the adoption of digital platforms is increasing, but that is roaming around their routine needs. If a very low level, some service offering guy is using some payment collection service through some bank's API, so they are thinking around that only. So banks have to first identify that segment based on the data we have, using all the AI and technology capabilities. Then we have to make them aware, okay, you are using this service, you are collecting some funds, you better utilize these funds with this XYZ business models. So this way, probably I think that the awareness can be increased by digitally reach to the customers, and then those people may be involved into this financial world. So inclusion will increase, then definitely this will help to achieve the business growths as desired. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Harvindhar ji. So herewith I thank you all of you to be part of the panel and being so interactive and sharing your inputs.
Thanks, Vikrant.
So, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for this insightful discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, our day one comes to an end. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful, wonderful audience. I'll request everyone to be here tomorrow as well on time, because we have an interesting lineup of industry experts who will be taking us through the thought-provoking panel discussions and interesting, insightful fireside chats. So see you tomorrow. With this, Anchor Mayuri Malankar signing off. Bye-bye.